She had been to 4 doctors in 3 years, a rheumatologist for her knees, an orthopedic surgeon for 2 fractures, a gastroenterologist for digestion that had simply stopped working the way it used to, and a cardiologist because her blood pressure had been climbing despite doing everything she was told. 4 specialists, 4 appointments, 4 sets of prescriptions, and at every single one of them, she brought a handwritten journal, neat, precise, color-coded, documenting everything she ate, every symptom, every change. She was not a passive patient. She was the most engaged patient I have ever sat across from. And in 3 years of appointments across 4 specialities, not one doctor had ever asked her the single most important nutritional question for a woman her age. How much collagen are you getting? I am Dr. Elizabeth Aliu, a health educator specializing in elderly wellness and healthy aging. I have spent years working with seniors who are doing everything their doctors recommend and still declining, still hurting, still losing ground in ways that feel inevitable but are not. And in a significant number of those cases, the missing piece is not a new medication. It is not a specialist referral. It is a protein that nobody has mentioned, a protein their body is quietly running out of, a protein that holds the entire human structure together, and that after 60 disappears faster than most people alive today have ever been told. Today, I am going to tell you everything about that protein, what it is, what it does to your body when it declines, where to get it back, and why, despite all of this, it almost never comes up in a standard medical appointment. Stay with me. What you are about to learn is not complicated, but it may be the most structurally important thing anyone has explained to you about your body in years. Before I name the protein, I need you to understand what it actually does. Because until you see the full picture, what this protein holds together and what happens when it goes, the information will not land the way it deserves to. Your body is not just chemistry, it is architecture, a literal physical structure that depends on a framework to hold its shape, absorb its daily stress, and function reliably year after year. In a building, that framework is steel and concrete. In your body, it is protein. One specific protein, the single most abundant protein in the entire human body, making up roughly 30% of your total protein content and present in virtually every tissue you have. That protein is collagen, not a beauty supplement, not something that belongs on a skincare shelf with promises about wrinkles. Collagen is the structural protein composing your joint cartilage, your arterial walls, your gut lining, your bone matrix, your tendons, your ligaments, and the connective tissue surrounding every organ in your body. It is, in the most literal and non-metaphorical sense, the material your body is constructed from. Now here is what happens beginning in your 30s and accelerating sharply after 60. Your body's ability to produce new collagen declines by approximately 1% every single year. By the time you reach 60, you have already lost 30% of your production capacity. By 70, closer to 40%. And for women, menopause triggers an additional acceleration, up to 30% of remaining skin and joint collagen lost in the first 5 years after the transition. Remove 30 to 40% of the steel framework from a building that has been standing for 60 years. What happens to the walls? To the pipes? To the floors? They do not collapse immediately. They weaken in ways you cannot see from the outside. They crack in places. They become less reliable, less resilient, less able to absorb the ordinary stress of daily use. That is exactly what is happening inside the body of every person over 60 who is not actively replacing what is being lost. And here is the question I want you to carry into every consequence I am about to show you. Not just as a medical curiosity, as a personal reckoning. When did your doctor last mention any of this? Because what is coming next explains a great deal about what you may already be feeling, and it is going to make you want to know why nobody said it sooner. Consequence number 1. Joint pain and cartilage loss. The most felt consequence of collagen decline after 60 lives in your joints. And I want to explain the mechanism precisely, because most people have been given an explanation that is incomplete. And that incomplete explanation has led to incomplete treatment for years. Your joint cartilage, the cushioning tissue between your bones, is composed almost entirely of type 2 collagen. It is what allows your knees, hips, and shoulders to absorb impact, glide under load, and bear your weight without bone grinding against bone. When collagen production falls, that cartilage thins. It becomes less resilient, less capable of absorbing shock. And the result is the progressive joint pain that millions of seniors are told is simply arthritis, simply aging, simply something to manage with anti-inflammatory medication rather than something to address at its structural cause. Here is what frustrates me about that conversation. Telling a senior their joint pain is simply arthritis without mentioning collagen depletion is like telling someone their house is cold without mentioning that 40% of the insulation has been removed over the past 30 years. Technically accurate, completely unhelpful. The joint pain is real. The arthritis diagnosis is often real. But the underlying structural driver, collagen depletion, is addressable. And most patients are never told that, not once. Consequence number 2, gut permeability and digestive decline. This one surprises people almost every time, because the connection between a structural protein and digestive function is not obvious. But it is one of the most important and most overlooked links in the entire picture of senior health. Your gut lining, the single-cell thick barrier separating the inside of your intestines from your bloodstream, is held together by collagen fibers maintaining tight junctions between intestinal cells. When collagen declines, those junctions weaken. The gut lining becomes permeable. Partially digested food particles, bacteria, and inflammatory compounds that should remain inside the intestinal tract begin crossing into the bloodstream. Your immune system detects foreign particles and fires. Inflammation activates, and that inflammation does not stay local. It travels through the blood, to the joints, to the arterial walls, to the brain. Many seniors I work with who present with unexplained fatigue, brain fog, joint inflammation, and digestive irregularity have one thing consistently in common that their previous workups never flagged: collagen depletion that has been quietly compromising gut integrity for years. The symptoms were being treated. The structure underneath was not. I need you to stay very close with me for consequence number 3, because this is the one that carries the highest stakes and the one that most consistently gets missed in conversations about protein and aging. This next connection may be the most important thing I say in this entire video. Consequence number 3, arterial stiffening and cardiovascular risk. Your arterial walls are built significantly from collagen. Type 1 and type 3 collagen give your arteries their elasticity, the ability to expand when your heart pumps blood and recoil smoothly between beats. That elasticity is not cosmetic. It is functional. Elastic arteries absorb the pressure wave of each heartbeat. Rigid arteries cannot. And rigid arteries mean higher blood pressure, higher cardiac workload, and dramatically elevated risk of heart attack and stroke. When collagen in arterial walls declines, those walls stiffen. They lose their recoil. The same heart, pumping the same volume of blood, now pushes against a system with far less give. This is one of the primary mechanical reasons blood pressure rises after 60. Not just salt, not just stress, but the structural deterioration of the very walls that blood flows through every second of every day of your life. A 2016 study published in the Journal of Hypertension found a direct correlation between collagen degradation markers and arterial stiffness in adults over 65, independent of traditional cardiovascular risk factors. In plain terms, collagen decline stiffens arteries regardless of everything else you are doing right. And that stiffening is measurable significant, and directly addressable through nutrition. Most patients are never told that either. Consequence number 4. Slow wound healing and immune vulnerability. Have you noticed that cuts, bruises, and injuries take longer to close than they used to? That a wound that disappeared in a week at 40 lingers for 3 or 4 weeks at 65? This is not imagination. This is collagen. Wound healing is fundamentally a collagen synthesis process. When tissue is damaged, your body's immediate response is to lay down new collagen fibers to close and repair it. Type 3 collagen forms the rapid initial scaffold. Type 1 collagen follows as the stronger permanent repair. When collagen production is compromised, both phases slow. The scaffold goes up late. The permanent repair follows even later. The window of vulnerability, when the wound is open and susceptible to infection, stretches dangerously long. After 60, this matters beyond discomfort. Extended wound healing is a leading cause of hospitalization in seniors. Surgical sites that do not close properly, pressure sores that deepen, minor injuries that become entry points for serious systemic infection. Collagen synthesis speed is a central variable in every one of those outcomes. And nutritional support for that process is almost never in the discharge instructions. The final consequence is the one that overturns the most widely held belief in senior bone health. And what I am about to say challenges something most people were told by a doctor they trusted. Stay with me. Consequence number 5, bone density loss and the calcium misunderstanding. Most people believe bones are made primarily of calcium. This is one of the most widespread and consequential misunderstandings in senior health education. And it is costing people fractures. Bone is approximately 35% collagen by dry weight. Collagen forms the matrix, the flexible internal scaffolding onto which calcium and minerals are deposited. Calcium gives bone its hardness. Collagen gives bone its flexibility, its ability to bend slightly under impact without snapping. A bone without adequate collagen matrix is brittle, regardless of its mineral density. It is concrete without steel reinforcement. It can bear static weight, but it cannot absorb dynamic force. And it fractures. This is why many seniors fracture bones that a DEXA scan rated as acceptable. The scan measures mineral density. It cannot see the collagen matrix those minerals are resting on. Calcium supplementation without addressing collagen is filling a cracked container and wondering why it keeps emptying. The container itself needs repairing first, and that repair requires collagen. Now I need to take you back to the woman I described at the beginning. Her name, the name I will use for her, is Vivian, 71 years old, retired school teacher. She placed her health journal on the table when she sat down the first time we met. And I want you to picture it exactly as I remember it. Spiral-bound, color-coded tabs, handwriting so precise it looked like print. 3 years of documentation, every symptom dated, every medication noted, every appointment recorded with the doctor's name, the time, and what was said. She had been to 4 specialists. She had followed every recommendation. She had done everything a responsible, intelligent, health-conscious person could possibly do. And then she looked at me across that table and said something I have not forgotten. She said, "I feel like I am disappearing from the inside, and nobody can tell me why." I asked her to walk me through everything she ate in a typical day. She described it carefully, genuinely healthy food by every conventional measure. And in everything she described, across 3 meals, there was almost no collagen. Not because she was eating poorly, because nobody had ever told her it was a nutritional category that existed. Not one of the 4 specialists, not one of the 3 years of appointments. The word had never been spoken in any room she had sat in. That silence, that 3-year 4 specialist silence, is the thing I want you to understand before I tell you what we did about it. Why does nobody mention this? I think you deserve a direct answer. It is not because doctors do not care. The physicians Vivian saw were skilled and attentive. It is not a conspiracy. It is something quieter, and in some ways, more frustrating than a conspiracy. It is a system that was designed to treat illness and was never fully redesigned to prevent structural decline. Collagen is not in the standard dietary protein guidelines. The recommended daily intake for seniors measures total protein in grams. Collagen is counted within that total. A senior eating adequate total protein may be getting almost no collagen whatsoever, and the standard metric will never surface that. The absence is invisible in the numbers your doctor sees. There is also no prescription for collagen. No pharmaceutical product, no patent, no profit margin attached to bone broth or sardines or egg whites. A system structured around prescribing treatments has no natural mechanism for recommending foods that cost almost nothing and require no prescription. The incentive structure simply does not point in that direction. And then there is the appointment itself. I have watched brilliant physicians compress extraordinary knowledge onto 7 minutes and still not reach everything that matters. Collagen nutrition for structural longevity at 65 does not survive the triage of a 7-minute visit. Not because it is unimportant, because the container was never designed to hold it. You now have the container, and I am going to fill it properly. How to restore collagen after 60. I want you to hear this section differently than you hear a list of nutritional recommendations. Because what I am about to describe is not a supplement protocol or a dietary overhaul. It is the answer to 3 years of Vivienne's appointments. It is the information that was sitting in her kitchen the entire time she was sitting in waiting rooms. There are 2 components, the source and the activator. Both are essential. Neither works without the other. The source, bone broth. Simmered animal bones for 12 to 24 hours produce the single most bioavailable form of collagen peptides available from food. 1 to 2 cups per day. The collagen has already been broken down by the long cooking process into a form your intestinal lining can absorb directly. Homemade is best. Quality store-bought, one that gels when cold, producing visible gelatin, is acceptable. When Vivienne made this her morning ritual, she told me later it was the first change she noticed. Within 3 weeks, her digestion had shifted. Sardines with their bones. The soft, edible bones in a tin of sardines contain collagen and calcium simultaneously, making them one of the most structurally complete foods a senior can eat. 2 to 3 servings per week. Vivienne could not tolerate the taste at first. She found a preparation she could manage. Within 2 months, her knee pain had reduced enough that she stopped reaching for the anti-inflammatory medication every morning. Chicken cartilage and connective tissue. The neck, feet, and cartilage-rich parts of the bird, specifically type 2 collagen, the type that rebuilds joint cushioning. Not chicken breast. The parts most people discard. Use them in broth. Keep them in slow-cooked dishes. The most valuable part of the animal for a person over 60 is the part that costs the least. Egg whites, rich in proline, one of the key amino acids your body uses to synthesize new collagen tissue. 2 egg whites daily provide meaningful precursor support. Simple, affordable, already in most kitchens. The activator, vitamin C. And here's the piece that most people miss entirely. Collagen synthesis, the process by which your body takes what you eat and builds new structural tissue, is entirely dependent on vitamin C. The enzyme responsible for collagen formation cannot function without it. Eating collagen without vitamin C is like filling a car with petrol and leaving out the spark. The fuel is there. The ignition is not. 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C per day, taken at the same meal as your collagen sources. A glass of fresh orange juice alongside your morning bone broth. Sliced bell pepper with your sardines. Kiwi fruit with your egg whites. The timing matters, not hours later, at the same meal. This is the piece that turns the protocol from a food choice into a biological process. 6 months after our first appointment, Vivian walked into my office for her follow-up, and I noticed something before she spoke. The journal was still under her arm, but she was walking differently, not carefully, not deliberately, just walking, the way a person walks when they are not thinking about whether they can. She sat down and said, "I need to tell you something. Last Saturday morning, I was in my garden, on my knees, in the soil, for 40 minutes. She stopped. I got up by myself. I did not hold anything. I just stood up. Then, back at me. 3 years of appointments, nobody mentioned a piece of food, not a new drug, not a procedure, not a specialist she had not yet seen, a cup of bone broth in the morning, and a tin of sardines twice a week, and a glass of orange juice alongside them, and the recovery of something she had quietly stopped believing she would ever get back. I want to say something to you directly, as honestly as I know how. The system that gave Vivian 4 specialists and 3 years without once mentioning collagen is the same system most of you are navigating right now, and it is not going to spontaneously correct for this gap in time for your next appointment. The appointment will happen, the prescriptions will be reviewed, the blood pressure will be taken, and unless you bring the question, unless you say the word collagen out loud in that room, it will almost certainly not be said. So, say it. Walk in with the question written down if that helps. Should collagen nutrition be part of my health plan at my age? That question takes 30 seconds to ask. The answer, whatever it is, will be more useful than another appointment where the question was never raised. You have spent your entire life in a body that has carried you without complaint. That body is asking for something specific right now. Something affordable, something available, something that was always within reach. It just needed someone to say its name. Let us bring everything together, one final time, clearly. Collagen is the structural protein your entire body is built from. After 60, production drops sharply, and the consequences are joint pain and cartilage thinning, gut permeability and digestive decline, arterial stiffening and rising blood pressure, slow wound healing and infection risk, and bone fragility that mineral density scans cannot fully capture. The protocol: bone broth 1 to 2 cups daily, sardines with bones 2 to 3 times per week, chicken cartilage in cooking, egg whites regularly, always alongside vitamin C at the same meal. The source and the activator, together, every time. The question for your next appointment: should collagen nutrition be part of my health plan given my age and symptoms? 30 seconds. One question. A door the system was not designed to open for you, that you can open yourself. Now I want to hear from you. Has any doctor ever mentioned collagen in any appointment? Has anyone connected your joint pain, your fatigue, your slow healing to this specific protein? Tell me in the comments. I read every one, and your answer helps other seniors in this community know what to ask. If this gave you something you did not have before, share it. There is someone you know who is managing the consequences of this decline right now and has no idea this piece of the picture exists. That share matters more than you know. Subscribe for more honest, practical guidance on living stronger and more independently after 60. We are just getting started. One final thing, and this matters. Everything shared here is general health education based on current nutritional research and my experience in senior wellness. It is not a substitute for personal medical care. Before making significant dietary changes, especially if you are managing chronic illness, taking blood thinners, or have kidney disease, speak with your doctor or a registered dietitian first. Bring this information to that conversation. Your health team is your partner in this. These changes work best when they work alongside proper medical guidance. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next video.